Okay, so get this. I was browsing online and found this really cool travel blog, worldtravelblogger.com. They had this whole post about Harry Potter tours in London.
Oh, nice.
And knowing you're a big travel enthusiast, I thought this would be perfect for today's deep dive. Plus, we both love Harry Potter.
Always up for a little magic. I am curious, though.
Yeah.
What is it about these tours that make them more than just like a typical fandom thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. The article mentions all these iconic locations they take you to, like Platform 9 to the quarter at King's Cross Station.
Oh, of course.
I mean, can you imagine trying to push your trolley through the wall?
I bet they even have that whole photo op thing set up.
Oh, I'm sure they do, yeah. And it's not just King's Cross. They also talk about the Millennium Bridge, the one that gets destroyed in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
Oh, right.
But in real life, it's this beautiful pedestrian bridge with amazing views.
Yeah.
Walking across it, knowing it's movie moment, that's got to be something else.
Yeah, definitely adds a whole other layer to it.
Totally. Oh, and then there's Leadenhall Market
Ah, yes.
with its Victorian architecture. The article says it was the inspiration for Diagon Alley, bustling, colorful, a little mysterious even.
I can practically hear the goblins at Gringotts.
Right. Okay, but here's the thing. Were any of the actual Harry Potter scenes filmed at these places?
That's a good question. It's kind of a mix, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Some were shot on location, but they used a lot of movie magic to blend real-world spots with sets and effects. Like, take King's Cross, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It was the backdrop for Platform 9 through Quarterus, but the platform itself was a mix of set design and, get this, forced perspective.
Forced perspective. What is that?
It's basically a technique where they play with proportions and camera angles to make things look different than they actually are.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, like in this case, they used it to make the trolley look like it was disappearing into the wall.
Wow, that's clever.
Yeah, it's pretty cool when you think about it. The level of detail they went to for those iconic scenes.
Totally. What about Leadenhall Market? Did they actually film anything there?
Not really, no. Leadenhall was more of a visual inspiration for Diagon Alley. The actual set was built at the Warner Bros. Studio Tour London, but you can definitely see the similarities, especially the winding alleyways and those quirky shops.
Makes sense. So it's like a blend of real locations and movie magic. No wonder these tours are so popular.
Exactly. It's about bringing that world to life, making it feel real.
Totally. Okay, but what about the behind-the-scenes stuff? The article mentions some pretty cool secrets from the making of the films.
Oh, yeah, there are tons of those. Did you know that they used a lot of practical effects and models to create that immersive world?
Really? I was assumed it was mostly CGI.
Nope. A lot of it was practical. Like the Great Hall at Hogwarts was a massive, super detailed set. They even used hundreds of real candles.
Wow, no way. That's dedication.
It is. Speaking of details, the casting was amazing too. Alan Rickman as Snape. Perfect.
Oh, absolutely. He was brilliant. It's like he was born to play that role.
He really brought Snape to life in a way that went beyond the books even. Apparently, he worked really closely with J.K. Rowling to understand Snape's backstory, which is probably why his performance was so nuanced.
See, that's the kind of insider knowledge that makes these tours so fascinating. You get to learn all these behind-the-scenes stories and see how the magic was made.
Yeah, exactly. It adds a whole other dimension to the experience.
Totally. Okay, so let's say someone's listening to this and thinking, I need to go on one of these tours. What are some practical tips from the blog that we can share?
Well, first things first, timing is everything. They recommend visiting on weekdays or during the off-season if you want to avoid massive crowds.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You don't want to be fighting your way through a sea of people just to get a decent photo.
Oh, for sure. And what about choosing a tour?
Do your research. There are a ton of different tours out there, some that focus on filming locations, others that delve into the stories and characters, and some that even offer behind-the-scenes insights into the filmmaking.
So it's really about finding the right tour for your interests.
Exactly. Figure out what you want to get out of it. And of course, don't forget the practical stuff. Comfortable shoes, a light jacket in case it rains, and definitely bring your camera.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And maybe even a notebook to jot down thoughts or sketch what you see.
I love that idea, capturing those personal responses. It's all about sparking that creativity and reflection.
Totally. So we've got timing, choosing the right tour, and packing essentials covered. What else does the article recommend?
Well, they suggest going beyond the tours themselves and exploring other Harry Potter-related attractions in London.
Like what?
Well, they mentioned the British Library, which has some pretty amazing Harry Potter exhibits, including original manuscripts and artwork.
Oh, wow. That would be incredible to see. J.K. Rowling's handwritten notes and early drafts.
Right. Talk about a magical experience. And if you're looking for a truly immersive experience, they also mention some incredible themed eateries, like the Cauldron.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that place.
They offer potion making classes and interactive dining experiences. And you can even find places that do Harry Potter themed afternoon tea.
Okay, now that sounds amazing.
Right. It's all about extending that magic beyond the tours.
Totally. And of course, no trip would be complete without a little souvenir shopping.
Of course not. London is full of shops catering to all kinds of Harry Potter fans.
Maybe
You
not.
can find everything from wands and scarves to rare collectibles and locally crafted items.
So we've covered iconic locations, behind-the-scenes secrets, practical tips, and even some ideas for extending the magic beyond the tour. It's like a whole Harry Potter world waiting to be explored.
It really is, and it's not just about seeing the sights. It's about experiencing the magic, connecting with the story on a deeper level.
Absolutely. So what stands out to you as the most fascinating aspect of these tours?
That's a tough one. I think it's how they tap into that desire we all have for a deeper connection with stories.
Yeah.
It's not just sightseeing, it's about actively engaging with the world that captivated our imaginations.
It's like stepping right into the pages of the books or onto the movie screen.
Exactly. And in a world that can often feel so mundane and predictable, that's a pretty powerful experience.
It's like they offer a chance to rediscover that sense of wonder and possibility.
Beautifully put. And honestly, I think we could all use a little more of that these days.
Couldn't agree more. And worldtravelblogger.com seems like the perfect starting point for anyone looking to plan their own Harry Potter adventure in London. They've definitely given me some serious wanderlust.
Me too. Their website's a treasure trove of information and inspiration.
Well, on that note, let's take a quick break. We'll be back in a few minutes to continue our deep dive into the magical world of Harry Potter tours in London. It's really amazing how Harry Potter has become this global phenomenon. The books and the movies are one thing, but to see how it's inspired these immersive tours and experiences is pretty special.
It really speaks to the power of storytelling, like how a good story can capture imaginations worldwide and create these lasting communities.
Right. Like you see Harry Potter fans literally everywhere, and it doesn't matter where you're from or what language you speak. There's this shared understanding and love for this world.
And these tours almost become like pilgrimages for fans, like a chance to connect with others who share that same passion and experience the magic together.
Yeah, it's like a collective we get it moment.
Exactly. You're not just sightseeing, you're sharing this experience with people who understand the significance of these locations, the inside jokes, the emotional weight of certain scenes. It creates a really unique sense of camaraderie.
So beyond the tangible aspects of the tours, the locations, the facts, the photo ops, w- what do you think people are really seeking when they go on these Harry Potter adventures?
I think it boils down to a yearning for enchantment,
Hmm.
like a desire to tap into that sense of wonder and possibility that we often associate with childhood.
I love that we're trying to recapture that feeling of believing in magic, of seeing the world through a lens of possibility.
Exactly. And the tours provide a tangible way to do that. They allow us to step outside our everyday lives and immerse ourselves in a world where anything is possible.
It's almost like a form of escapism, but in a really positive way. Like it's not about ignoring reality, but about remembering that there's still room for magic and wonder, even amidst the mundane.
That's a great way to put it. It's a reminder that even when things are tough, we can still choose to embrace a sense of childlike curiosity and awe.
And in a world that can often feel overwhelming and stressful. I think that's a really powerful and important message.
Absolutely. It's about finding those moments of joy and delight, those sparks of imagination that keep us feeling alive and connected to something bigger than ourselves.
Speaking of feeling connected, worldtravelblogger.com, the website we're looking at, they also talk about how these tours can be really personal journeys.
Oh, absolutely. Each person brings their own experiences, memories, and interpretations to these tours. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Like for some people, it might be about reliving their childhood, connecting with the characters and stories that shaped them.
Exactly. While for others, it might be about discovering something new, seeing familiar places in a new light, or even bonding with friends and family over a shared passion.
So it's not just about Harry Potter itself. It's about what Harry Potter represents to each individual.
That's a great point. It's about taking those universal themes of friendship, courage, and the battle between good and evil and applying them to our own lives.
And I think that's what makes these tours so special. They offer a framework for personal reflection and growth, even if it's disguised as a fun fandom-fueled adventure.
Well said. It's about tapping into the emotional core of the story and finding ways to connect it to our own experiences and aspirations.
So for our listener who might be thinking about going on their own Harry Potter tour, what advice would you give them to really maximize that personal connection?
I'd say go in with an open mind and heart. Don't just focus on ticking off locations or taking photos. Allow yourself to be present in each moment, to feel the emotions, to engage with the history and the symbolism.
Yeah, be an active participant in the
Yeah.
story, not just a passive observer.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to let your imagination run wild. Picture yourself as a student at Hogwarts. Imagine yourself wandering through Diagon Alley
Yeah.
and just let those feelings of wonder and excitement take over.
Embrace the magic.
Exactly. That's what these tours are all about.
Okay, so we've talked about the broader impact of Harry Potter, the sense of community these tours foster, and the personal journeys they can inspire. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about the logistics of planning a Harry Potter tour in London. WorldTravelBlogger.com had some good advice on this, so let's break it down for our listener. Okay, so we've talked about a lot, the history of these tours, why they're so popular, what makes them special. But for our listener who's ready to book that trip to London, what are some takeaways from WorldTravelBlogger.com for planning a Harry Potter adventure?
Well, they really emphasize the importance of research. Don't just book the first tour you see. Take some time to figure out what you're looking for.
Yeah, because some tours might focus more on the filming locations, others might be more about the books, or even offer a behind-the-scenes look at how the movies were made.
Exactly. They also say it's important to think about your budget and how much time you have. Some tours can be expensive, and they all vary in length.
Yeah, good point. It's about finding that sweet spot between what you want to do and what you can realistically do. They had some tips for making the most of your time in London, even beyond the tours.
Yeah, they recommend checking out the Warner Bros. Studio Tour London.
Oh, yeah?
You can see actual sets, props, costumes from the films.
That's cool.
And of course, you got to visit Platform 9 3/4 at King's Cross for that photo.
Oh, absolutely. Got to get that picture. They also mentioned some lesser-known spots, right? Like the British Library.
Right, they have some of the original Harry Potter manuscripts and artwork there.
Wow, that would be amazing to see J.K. Rowling's actual notes and drafts.
Yeah, it's a must-see for any fan. And for a more immersive experience, there are a bunch of themed restaurants and shops all over London.
Like the Cauldron, where you can make potions and have this magical dinner.
Exactly. And don't forget about the House of Mina Lima. It's run by the graphic designers who worked on the movies. They have amazing prints and artwork.
Wow, so many things to add to the list. So it sounds like planning a Harry Potter trip to London is about research, picking the right tour, and exploring beyond the obvious to really immerse yourself in the world.
Exactly, creating that magical personal experience.
It's interesting, WorldTravelBlogger.com says that these tours are more than just sightseeing.
Yeah,
They're like journeys of self-discovery, of connection.
absolutely. It's about those feelings of wonder and excitement you felt as a kid, connecting with other fans, maybe even learning something new about yourself and the world.
Like you're stepping back into this story you love, but experiencing it in a new way through your own eyes.
Exactly, and that's what makes them so powerful, The magic of Harry Potter just keeps resonating with people, and these tours let you experience that magic in a real way.
So for our listener who's now inspired and wants to go on their own Harry Potter adventure, what's one last thought you want to leave them with?
Just embrace the journey. Do your research, plan your trip, but most importantly, let yourself get swept away by the magic. Let your imagination run wild, connect with other fans, and make those memories that will last.
Beautifully said. And remember, WorldTravelBlogger.com is a great resource for all kinds of travel, not just Harry Potter. Be sure to check them out for inspiration. And that wraps up our deep dive into the magical world of Harry Potter tours in London. Until next time, keep exploring and keep the magic alive.